Good morning, good afternoon, whichever the case may be. Today we are diving into chapters 11 and 15. I do not spend a lot of time on this. Our textbook goes into a lot of unneeded information. I mean, not that it's unneeded. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's good information, but it's not going to benefit you as an adult. All right? I told you before that I try to make our content in here as relevant as possible for when you're an adult, you might actually use the information. All right? So don't get me wrong. It's not that it's bad information. It's not that it's not useful information. It's just that I have a very limited amount of time with you guys. And sometimes I choose not to lecture everything. Sometimes I choose to bring in activities that will supplement the material. And that's what I'm doing with this chapter. I'm bringing a lot of materials, a lot of activities, elements that will supplement what we are doing in class or what the topics that we're talking about. So I may not lecture everything for these chapters, but you will be exposed to the content. Today, guys, we are looking at E.10, money and the Federal Reserve. So, last chapter, we discussed the fiscal policy. Our last couple of chapters was fiscal policy, looking at taxes, spending. Okay, so we know that deals with money, right? Now what we're looking at with these chapters is what type of money is there? Okay? What type of money is there? And not only the type of money, guys, but how do we go about creation of the money? How do we go about looking at the structure of the Federal Reserve? How the Federal Reserve is involved in all of this? And then looking at monetary policy in the sense that how do they use, what tools do they use, rather, to manipulate our economy to make it do one thing or another? How can they control the money supply? What methods, means do they use to control the money supply in order to either make our government expand or contract? All right? So do we want it to get bigger? Do we want to get it smaller? And that is what we're looking at with these next couple of chapters. Okay, so today we're looking and talking about money. What is money? The textbook, I told you that there's some things that I leave out. All right? This is a lot of what I leave out in our textbook. It goes into the history of the greenbacks. Greenbacks are what you see here. It goes into the history of bartering and the economy, the gold standard, the silver standard. Yes. Is that important? Yes. But to know every bit of the detail, the history, and all of that is not that important. What I do need you to know is that at one point we did use gold as a form of money in the United States. We used silver as a form of money in the United States and a ton of other things. Look, cattle, porpoise teeth, dog teeth, beer. I mean, tons of things were used as money throughout history. In the United States, we've had currency of some sort. Bartering is a huge part of our economy as well. Remember, bartering is trade. If I make, and I'm just going to have to take this thing off for a second, guys. Sorry, trying to lecture in a mask is like pulling teeth. Bartering is nothing more than you making something, and then whatever you make, you're trading it with somebody else for what they have, so you both get what you need. All right, that is bartering. So that has been an extremely important aspect of our economic system. The gold standard, the silver standard, gold certificates, silver certificates. So a silver certificate and a gold certificate, a little bit of history. Gold certificate, if you had a certificate that says 500 pounds, well, you don't carry your gold around, okay? This just means that in a bank, you have this much gold stored up. Okay, so it's like trading an IOU for the money that you've got in the bank. Alright, so you're carrying the paper bill that says how much gold you're saving or you've got, and you're trading in those little sheets of paper instead of the actual gold or silver. Alright? Same thing with a silver certificate. Specifically, what we're going to be looking at, guys, is coins, paper bills, and checks as a form of currency. Alright, so some kinds of money. Kinds of money. We're looking at commodity. These are the different types of money that we have in the United States. Commodity money. This is used throughout the world in places where you don't see a lot of actual money. They will have items that they use as currency. They will have items that they use as currency. Alright, so alright, so what we see, guys, is that places that don't have a lot of currency, they are going to use items that they do have. Alright, so use what you've got. And let me bring it to you this way. Alright? In some places, we have items that are rare, right? We call it what? Scarcity. The more scarce the item, the more valuable it is. So, if you have places where things are scarce and they need those items, then they're going to be more likely to take those as payment. Okay? For example, we see here salt. Salt. In some places, salt is used as currency because it is harder to find in those areas than in others. So commodity money is objects that are used as money because they are valuable to them in themselves. Okay, now what's valuable to you, remember, may not be valuable to somebody else. So it's got to be valuable to both parties in order for it to be used as currency. It cannot just be valuable to you because somebody else may not care. But in order for that object to be used as currency or money, it has to be valuable to both parties, like salt in this instance here. Alright, then we have fiat money. Things that have value because the government says it does. Now, our money, our paper money, our currency is fiat money. The government says that this $5 bill is worth $1 bills, 20 quarters, 50 dimes, so forth, etc., right? 500 pennies. The government says that is what it's worth. Now, let me ask you a question. Is that actually what it's worth? The money in itself, guys, has no value. This paper has no value. We take it on the faith of the federal government that they say that money has value. That is the only reason it has value. Our money is mostly electronic, right? So if I've got $500 in my bank account, then that $500 gets transferred electronically if I go to swipe a debit card, right? So that's still fiat money. It's just electronic. These items serve as legal tender. Legal tender. That is money that a government has required to be accepted in settlement of payment. So if I go to the store and buy something, that bill is my legal tender because the government says those bills have value. Our currency, our paper money, our coins have value. So the government says this fiat money is used as our legal tender in the United States because they say it has value. Now, it used to be where all of this was backed by gold. Okay, that is where the gold standard comes into play here. Every dollar bill in the United States that we printed, we had gold to back it up. No longer is the United States on the gold standard. No longer are we on the gold standard. Alright, so legal tender and fiat money can be the same thing. Okay? But here's a question. Can representative money also be legal tender? Well, kind of. See, look at our definition. Legal tender says is money that a government has required to be accepted in the form in settlement of debt. Well, can I take this check where I write it, the banks, they scan it in, it takes money out of my account. Can that be used as legal tender? Well, yeah, it can. Because what I'm doing is I'm writing that check that says I have this much money in my bank, and the bank can take that much money out of my account. Okay, now, can a debit card be also used as representative money? Can a debit card also be used as representative money? Absolutely it can. Okay, if I go swipe my card, that is a form of tender. I'm taking my card, I'm swiping it, they accept it as a form of currency because it electronically takes money out of my account and moves it to their account. Alright, so a debit card falls into the representative money. Now, what is not true money? Y'all, credit cards are not true money. Why? Because they have no fixed value. They have no fixed value. You cannot exchange them between one person and another. It is credit. You are borrowing money from this company, telling them that if you will pay for my stuff now, I will pay you back. Alright? It is not true money. Debit card, yes. Credit card, no. Alright? Now, some functions of money. Functions of money. We talked about the types. Now let's look at the functions. Why is money important? Because we have to pay for goods and services, right? We have to pay for goods and services. So it is used as a medium of exchange. Medium of exchange. We are taking that money, we're trading it for goods and services. So, if I'm trading it for goods and services, that means it has to be portable. It has to be portable. It means I got to be able to take it from place to place. This medium of exchange that I have has to be able to be moved from place to place. It also has to be divisible. So if I'm using this medium of exchange, I've got to be able to break it down into smaller parts. So, look at that $100 bill, okay? If we have a $100 bill, we can break that down into a lot of different parts, right? Can I swipe a debit card and it be broken down into a lot of different parts? Yes. There's no set way of how I have to use my debit card, right? It doesn't say I can only use $25 here, $50 here. No, I can buy whatever I want with it. And so it breaks down my paycheck into smaller transactions. I can make a big transaction. I can make a small transaction. You've got to be able to take it with you and divide it up into smaller pieces. So you can have big transactions. You can have small transactions. So it's got to be portable, divisible, and all of this is because it is a medium of exchange. I can exchange my currency for goods and services. Alright? Not only that, it has to have a store of value. Now, you take a breath. Here's a question. Value. Remember our definition of value, and it says it here. Value equals scarcity. Remember, scarce means there's not enough of it, there's limited supply, and it has to have utility. Means it must provide us what? Satisfaction, or it must be useful. So, in order for something to have value, it's got to be scarce and useful. Is currency valuable? It says money is expressed in worth or value in terms we understand. So, if I take a dollar bill, say a $100 bill. If I take a $100 bill, is that $100 bill valuable? Well, yes, it is valuable because we know it is what? Worth $100. Dollar bills, $25 bills, $5 $20 bills, or $10 bills, right? It has value to us. We know the value when we look at that $100 bill. To be a good store of value, money must be durable. Durable. It's got to last, right? That dollar, that bill, that actual bill, it will last. It is made of cotton, actually. If we have time, I'm going to show you Modern Marvels, money. I'm not going to make you do an assignment on it. Maybe not. We'll see. But it's got to be durable. Money is, our paper money, our currency is durable. We figured out a method. That way it can be torn, it can be transferred, it can go from person to person, and it's not going to tear, rip, or shred. But it has a good store of value because it lasts. We know that $100 is not going to change. It's worth $100 because the government says it is. Now, we also want it to have a stable value. So, we do not want to see inflation. Inflation is an increase in, let me say a good way to put it. Inflation is a decrease in the value of the dollar. Okay? Let me just put it that way. We'll get more into inflation, I promise. Okay, but because if we see inflation, guys, that means our money is worth less. So, it's like saying I'm going to the store and this item that used to be $2 is now $6. Okay, that is inflation. A rise in prices, right? So what it does, that rise in prices decreases the value of our dollar. That's what they're talking about here. We want it to be stable. We don't want to see a huge inflation rate, so it devalues our money. We want it to be stable and durable. We want it to last and have value for years to come. Okay? Also, some standards of value. Guys, are there some things that we just will not accept? A standard of value is a unit of account. Okay, a unit of account. So we've got to be able to say that I can go to the store and I'm going to take this $5 bill and I'm going to exchange it for the goods and services I need. That's a unit of account. It must be useful for quoting prices. So if I go to the store, all right, if I go to the store and I see that item's worth $5, I know what that means. Or if I see $4.99 or $6 or $20 or $1,000, it doesn't matter. If I see a price tag, I know that that is a unit of account. I can say, okay, I know that that money is this much. It can be divided down into this much. It's something that we accept. We go to the store, we see $4.99, we say, okay, cool. That's $4.99. So it can be broken down. That $10 bill can then be broken down, and we know exactly how that breaks down. So it's familiar to us. It's divisible. It's widely acceptable. But we use that as a way to account for the cost and the value of goods. If I go to the store and I buy a diamond and they tell me that value of that diamond is $1,000, I know what that means. All right? Okay, and it's got to have purchasing power. Purchasing power. That's the whole point, right? Purchasing power. I have to be able to take it to the store and purchase something. Or, if I don't want to purchase anything now, I can do what? I can save my money, and I can purchase things later. I'm a huge proponent of saving. Saving your money. Okay, and if I save now, I can buy what I need later. Okay, so it can be stored up and used to purchase things later. Okay, and we talked about portability and divisibility. Okay, you got to be able to take it with you. It's got to last. Okay, we talked about divisibility. We got to be able to break it down into smaller pieces. And limited availability. This one is huge, y'all. Huge. If we print money, too much money, it loses its value and is worthless. I can tell you now that the dollar bill is not worth $1. It's not worth that 100 pennies. But we take it at the word of the federal government that it is. But that is part of what we're going to look at in the next lecture, is how the Federal Reserve goes about limiting our money. How we go about looking at how much money is in the money supply. Do we need to add more money to the money supply? Less money? And that is one of the tools that they use to manipulate our economy. But we will discuss that next chapter.